Salam keluarga Malaysia, Selamat Hari Raya Aidiladha. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Lee and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight, 5 remanded over Hajj package fraud probe. Woman in comedy club fiasco remanded for 3 days. Muslims in Malaysia celebrated Hari Raya Aidiladha with great joy and gratitude today after 2 years of observing the festival on a moderate scale because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, mosques and suraus throughout the country were the focus of Muslims, both locals and foreigners, who converged there to perform their prayers and participate in Korban rituals. In Pahang, di Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah, Raja Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Aziza Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria, and the region of Pahang, Tengku Hasan Al-Ibrahim Alam Shah performed the Aidiladha prayers at Masjid Tengku Ampuan Afzan, Kuantan. After the prayers, Al-Sultan Abdullah and Tengku Hasanal graced the Korban ritual at the mosque compound. 23 cattle, including 3 gifted by their majesties, were slaughtered for Korban ritual. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, together with other worshippers, performed the Aidiladha prayers at Masjid Wilayah Persekutuan in the nation's capital, which was led by the Mosque Senior Assistant Director Dr. Khalid Issa, while Grand Imam Ruzimi Zamri delivered a sermon entitled Sacrificing for Success. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also took some time after the sermon to meet and greet other congregants. In Melaka, di Yang di-Pertua Negeri, Tun Muhammad Ali Rustam joined about 4,000 congregants to perform Aidiladha prayers at Masjid Al-Azim Bukit Pala. Afterwards, Tun Muhammad Ali, together with others, stayed to listen to sermon titled Sacrifice for Islam. In Johor, region of Johor, Tunku Mahkota Ismail Sultan Ibrahim, together with Tunku Panglima of Johor, Tunku Abdul Rahman Sultan Ibrahim, and Tunku Putra Johor, Tunku Abu Bakar Sultan Ibrahim, performed the Aidiladha Sunnah prayer with over 1,000 congregants at Masjid Sultan Abu Bakar in Johor Bahru. The prayer was led by Grand Imam of Johor, Imam Makazir Abdan, who also delivered a sermon of understanding Rasulullah message. Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg performed the Aidiladha prayers with hundreds of congregants at the Sarawak Jamek Mosque in Petrajaya and later attended the Korban rites organised by Sarawak Islamic Religious Council, MIS. Through this program, the Korban meat was distributed to 100 asnaf from Gabungan Saudara Kita in the city. Now, the government is monitoring the extension of aid to flood victims in Baling Kedah to ensure there are no delays, especially in efforts to restore affected houses. Now, speaking to reporters after performing Aidiladha prayers at Masjid Wilayah Persekutuan today, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said priority will be given to repairing damaged houses or building new ones.
Apabila berlaku saja besok tu pagi saya hantar strategi politik saya untuk umumkan dari segi bantuan banjir RM1,000 tunai untuk immediate, dan selepas itu seperti yang pernah kita umumkan waktu banjir dululah, RM2,500, RM500 barangan elektrik, pembaikan rumah ataupun membina rumah baru kalau rumah itu musnah. Jadi kita sedang memantau dari segi pelaksanaan lah. Kita tak mahu ada kelewatan lah. Yang kita janjikan, kita perlu percepat. Yang pentingnya adalah rumah apabila roboh perlu disegerakan dari segi pembinaan baru, dan yang boleh baik pulih, kita akan baik pulih segera. Itu yang penting. Ya? Tempat tinggal yang paling penting. selain daripada bantuan-bantuan kewangan yang lain.
On the 5th of July, Datuk Seri Semasa announced immediate aid for some 1,490 flood victims to be given through 112 heads of household, comprising 1,000 ringgit in compassionate payment, 2,500 ringgit for basic necessities, 500 ringgit for electrical appliances and assistance for house repairs. Now, a total of 15 families who lost their homes in the recent floods and water surge phenomenon in Baling Kedah have been offered temporary housing. Now, Baling Member of Parliament Datuk Seri Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahim said his team planned to set up container housing on the grounds of Masjid Raudatul Falah, Kampung Iboy, Kupang, for the affected families. Elaborating further, Datuk Seri Abdul Aziz said the temporary housing will enable them to be comfortable after staying at PPS Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Jerai for the past few days. He said that he will also discuss with the 15 affected families for their consent, and the mosque has also given its permission as the area in question is on high ground. The Baling MP is targeting the construction of the container housing to be ready in 2 weeks' time, adding that the houses will be equipped with basic facilities so that all of the affected families could live a comfortable life. He also hoped that all those residents will not be left in temporary housing for long, but for the state and federal governments to prepare more suitable sites for the affected families to build their homes. Now, 5 individuals, including the owner of a travel agency, have been remanded for 3 days starting today until Tuesday to facilitate the investigation into cases of fraudulent Hajj pilgrimage packages that caused a loss of over 2 million ringgit. Selangor Police Chief Dato' R. Junaidi Mohamad said all of the suspects aged between 30 and 60 were arrested around the capital at about 9 p.m. on Friday by the Kuala Lumpur police. All the suspects were then handed over to Selangor Police because the case was reported to have taken place in the state. The case is being investigated under Section 420 of the Penal Code for cheating. Now, yesterday, Wang Semaju District Police Chief Superintendent Ashari Abu Sama said 5 locals were arrested to assist in the investigation into an alleged Hajj package and visa scam. On Thursday, about 380 prospective Hajj pilgrims found themselves stranded at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. They were believed to have used Furada visas, which are private Hajj visas not involving the Lembaga Tabung Haji quota. Now, up to 41 COVID-19 patients were warded at intensive care units nationwide yesterday, of which 26 were ventilated. Now, these patients in the ICUs marked a utilization rate of 10% for COVID-19 patients, while the nation's overall usage stood at 60.7%. On the Health Ministry's COVID Now portal, there are 35,323 active COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. Of the number, 34,107 were observing home quarantine, 1,156 were hospitalized, while 19 others were placed at COVID-19 quarantine and treatment centers. Now, yesterday, 2,799 new positive cases with only 2 imported infections were reported, a dip from 3,589 on Friday and 4,020 on Thursday. The cumulative caseload in the country since the pandemic struck is now standing at 4,592,710. Selangor recorded the highest number of new cases with 910, followed by Kuala Lumpur with 668 and 245 in Perak. 8 fatalities were reported yesterday, bringing the number of deaths due to COVID-19 to 35,809. The 3 deaths were reported in Selangor, 2 in Melaka, and 1 each in Kedah, Perak, and Sabah. Meanwhile, the number of people who recovered from the virus yesterday was 2,666. Coming up, Johor police nab foreign man over weapon possession during Aidil Adha prayer. The Kuala Lumpur City Hall, or DBKL, has temporarily suspended the operations of a comedy club in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, or TTDI, in connection with a video clip said to be insulting to Islam. Deputy Minister of Federal Territories, Datuk Sri Jalaluddin Alias, said the DBKL action was a clear message that the government would not tolerate any activities deemed offensive to sensitivities on religion, race, and the country's sovereignty. Through a statement, Datuk Sri Jalaluddin said the issue has also received criticisms from nearby residents and netizens who felt that the viral video was clearly aimed at insulting and sullying the image of Islam. The DBKL has conducted further investigations on the license of the premise concerned and taken immediate action to temporarily suspend its operations. The DBKL will continue with its enforcement operations and urge the public to report any such offensive activities. The 54-second video circulated on social media showed a woman who claimed she had memorized 15 juz or parts of the Quran and then discarded her tudung and baju kurung, leaving her in skimpy clothes. Meanwhile, the Royal Malaysia Police, or PDRM, have arrested the woman that allegedly insulting Islam in her performance at the Crack House Comedy Club. PDRM Secretary Dato' Norsia Muhammad Sa'aduddin in a statement said the woman was remanded for 3 days starting today. She said the suspect is currently being detained at the Brickfields Police Headquarters and investigations are still ongoing. According to Dato' Norsia, the case is being investigated under Section 298A of the Penal Code for causing disharmony, disunity, or feelings of enmity, hatred, or ill will on grounds of religion, and Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998 for improper use of network services. Now, police arrested a foreign man for being in possession of an offensive weapon during Aidil Adha prayer at the Sultan Abu Bakar Mosque in Johor Bahru this morning. Now, Johor Bahru Selatan District Police Chief ACP Raub Slamat said the 57-year-old man was nabbed at 8:45 a.m. after he was found in possession of a sheathed knife. The knife, measuring about 33 centimeters, including the handle, was found tucked into the man's belt. Police investigation found that the seized weapon is one of the festive decorations in the individual's country of origin. However, under Malaysian laws, it is an offence under the Corrosive and Explosive Substances and Offensive Weapons Act 1958. The case was being investigated under Section 6, Subsection 1 of the Act, which provides an imprisonment of not more than 2 years and whipping upon conviction. A total of 140 families were affected by a storm which hit several areas in Besut district last night. Kuala Besut State Constituency Coordinating Officer Azbi Saleh said 130 houses in 10 villages in Kuala Besut and 10 houses in Kampung Batu 13 and Kampung Bekuk in Hulu Besut were damaged by the storm and heavy rain at about 8 p.m. Explaining further, Azbi said some of the houses had their roofs blown away while others were crushed by uprooted trees. However, there were no casualties reported. He said among the worst affected areas in Kuala Besut are Kampung Pengkalan Atap, Kampung Pantai, Kampung Tengah, Kampung Nail and Kampung Payang. Following the incident, the state government has pledged to repair the damaged houses as soon as possible to ensure the affected families would be able to stay in their house comfortably. Chico Aura Dwi Wardoyo of Indonesia made his mark today after landing his first ever badminton open title at the 2022 Malaysia Masters. The unseeded player achieved a wonderful feat by upsetting the tournament's 8th seed, Angus Ngkalong of Hong Kong, in straight sets at the Axiata Arena. After a grueling battle to win the first set 22-20, the 24-year-old shuttler sealed the title with a 21-15 victory in the second. The world number 45 said it was a dream come true to finally win a major tournament since joining the Indonesian national team in 2015. In an all-Indonesian men's doubles final, 6 seeds Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto won the bragging rights with a 21-12, 21-19 victory over their seniors and third seeds Muhammad Ahsan and Hendra Setiawan. Fajar said although it was sad not being able to celebrate Aidil Adha with their families back in Indonesia, it was a worthwhile sacrifice as they repeated their feat from 2018 when they beat Malaysian pair Goh Visham and Tan Wee Kiong 14-21, 24-22, 21-13. Meanwhile, China earned their women's doubles title today, where top seeds Chen Qing-chen and Jia Yifan beat Japan's Naomi Matsuyama and Chiharu Shida 21-11, 21-12. Yifan described playing in back-to-back tournaments as tiring, but was nevertheless happy with the outcome today. After winning the 2022 Malaysia Open by beating Thai duo Dechapol and Sapsiri 21-13, 21-18 last week, China's world number 1 pair Zheng Siwei and Huang Yaqiong continue their impressive form as they secure their second successive title with the 2022 Malaysia Masters. The second season of the tournament came out tops against the unseeded Indonesians Rinov Rivaldi and Peter Mentari at the Axiata Arena. South Korean women's singles shuttler An Si-young finally broke her 7-game losing streak against China's Chen Yufei to lift the title with a 21-17, 21-5 victory. Si-young also became the first South Korean woman to secure the title. The world number 4 admitted that she was in disbelief after beating reigning champion Wu Fei, who is currently ranked 3rd in the world. The 20-year-old player said she would now set her sights on the 2022 Badminton World Championships to be held in Tokyo, Japan from the 21st to the 28th of August. Moving on to football, the Harimau Muda Under-19 squad booked their spot in the ASEAN Football Federation or AFF Under-19 Championships semi-finals after edging past Timor-Leste 4-3 in Jakarta, Indonesia. Now, the result saw Malaysia, the 2018 champions, in second place in Group B with 7 points after recording a 2-1 win over Cambodia in their first match on the 5th of July and playing Singapore to a scoreless draw 2 days ago. In the Group B match played at the Madia Stadium, Malaysia opened the scoring as early as the 9th minute through a Muhammad Najmuddin Akmal free kick. However, the Timor-Leste squad, known as the Rising Sun, equalised just 2 minutes later through the skipper Cristobal Moniz Fernandez. But Malaysia went into the lead again when Adam Farhan Muhammad Faisal scored 4 minutes later. In the second half, Malaysia, coached by Hassan Sazali Muhammad Waras, went 3-1 up in the 52nd minute through Muhammad Alif Izwan Yuslan, but yet again allowed Timor-Leste to narrow the gap just 2 minutes after. In the 63rd minute, Adam Farhan scored Malaysia's 4th goal, but Timor-Leste was not done and scored their 3rd through Mario Donacio in the 76th minute. Malaysia, however, defended well to hang on to their lead and the win. And that concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, 5 remanded over Hajj package fraud probe. On behalf of the team, Selamat Hari Raya Aidil Adha. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Jessica Lee. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM.